Chapter 15. Not enough. Dylan took a step back, out of the doorway, turned and walked away, berating himself. Sky's face had paled when she saw him standing there. This was something she wished to share with Wade. Not him. When Sky spotted him, tears of shame had filled her eyes. They had almost been his undoing. She hadn't wanted him to know. Her story shook him to the core. He would have never guessed. I guess I always expected people like her to have everything together, and here she is carrying that around. Dylan stopped and kicked at the ground. It was a surprise that Wade and her were that close. He thought his brother got under her skin. Well, of course, he did, only not in the way I thought. All the times I've been out hunting or scavenging while her and the boy were at the cabin with Wade. He's always had a way with people once they get acquainted with him. When they push past his annoying side, they love him. Who knows what's been going on when I'm not here? Dylan scraped at the ground again and blew out a heavy sigh as he rubbed the center of his chest. I've let myself get too attached. With one last glance over his shoulder at the cabin, he headed to the forest. When Dylan returned to the house that day, Sky, Wade, and Jesse were in the yard. Wade gave Jesse some pointers on the snare he was trying to set up, and Jesse immediately put them to use. It looked like he took to it naturally. The lawn was littered with the camping equipment from Sky's Jeep, and she stood in the middle of it all. Her face got redder and redder as she tried, without success, to set up a large tent. Wade snickered at her attempts, and Dylan couldn't stop himself from chuckling as he watched from a distance. When Wade saw Dylan, he nodded him over. Sky glared at Wade when she heard his laughter. What are you laughing at? It says easy. It is not easy. She huffed her words out between heavy breaths. If you were a nice man, you would come over here and help me. Yeah, well, I ain't never said I was a nice man. Wade looked at Dylan, nodded toward Sky, and winked. Dylan sighed. Yeah, I get it bro, Dylan thought. You're laying claim. Regardless, Dylan took pity on Sky. He walked over, picked up the correct pole and handed it to her. Sky, you need a tent, but what's all this other stuff? His arm swung over the outdoor kitchen complete with sink, stove and even a paper towel holder. Then the hot outdoor shower with its own privacy curtain and a portable toilet. Sky avoided Dylan's gaze, instead looking at the ground and the tent, anywhere it seemed but him. The sales guy said it would make camping easier. If I have to camp, I don't want it to be just the dirt and me. Sounds like the sales guy fed you a bunch of bull to line his pockets, Wade said as he continued to grin. Sky, Dylan said, some people may camp like this, but not us, and you're with us now. But Jesse. Dylan snorted. Don't be bringing the boy into this, he slept in a hole in the ground more than once. He doesn't need all this to survive. Sky stepped back and looked at Jesse, who shrugged. Dylan wasn't sure if she was more surprised over the information or the fact that Jesse already felt close enough to Dylan to tell him these things. Guess we're all letting out the past now. She let go of the tent, letting it fall to the ground, and flapped her arms. What then? Dylan pointed to Sky's cabin tent. That's too big. Not only can you not set it up quick but it's for about 12 people. Moving over to the rest of her equipment, he said, you need about a third of this, even less once we show you how to live out there. Sky puffed out a breath, disturbing some hair that had fallen forward on her face. Fine then. She brushed the loose hair back and stepped out of the jumbled items. She still won't even peek at me. I hope you didn't waste as much on it as it looks like you did, Wade said. I did. Sky shook her head and shrugged. It's only money. Dylan and Wade exchanged a glance. When Jesse saw it, he piped up, yeah, Sky's filthy rich, just filthy. I was at her house once. It's crazy. She has. Jesse. Sky patiently stopped him, her face turning pink. Things don't matter, remember? I probably won't ever live in my house again and no one is rich now. Not in that way. Sky awkwardly turned to Dylan. Please show me what I really need. Dylan and Sky pared down the camping supplies to necessities while Jesse worked on his snare. When they were done, Dylan looked over what they had accomplished. Well, that looks fine. Good job. Dylan glanced at Sky, hoping to lighten the mood between them, and sent her an amused glance. Next time, he threatened her, I think I'll show you how to set a snare and skin the catch. Sky put her hands on her hips as her eyes sparkled. Well then, I think I'm turning vegetarian. Dylan uttered a deep chuckle as he walked away. When Sky laid her hand on Dylan's arm, he glanced from that to her face. She bit her lip, looking up at him with nervous green eyes. So, you don't hate me now? Dylan frowned. What are you talking about? She bowed her head. What you overheard in the kitchen. Does that? I don't know, she fluttered her hand away from him. Dylan gentled his voice. No, I don't hate you. You were a kid, and you did a stupid thing. Kids do stupid things. She shook her head and raised it. Once more looking directly at his face, it was more than that. I was an entitled, self-involved, rich brat who assumed she could do anything she wanted without consequences. Maybe, but you ain't like that now. You're better. Dylan laid his hand on her shoulder and let his thumb stroke her arm. Maybe. Sky looked at the ground. I try to do better. I'm a work in progress, like most people, I guess. At least, that's what I try to tell myself. Dylan caught the downward curve of her lip and heard a small sniff as she half turned away. He turned her back. Sky, you are. Look at all the good you've done. Look at that boy over there. Sky nodded. It never seems enough though. I know that too. Dylan folded her into his arms, then remembered Wade. When Dylan looked over Sky's head at his brother, Wade gave him a knowing expression and a raised eyebrow. Is he wanting me to back off? Dylan stepped back, muttering something to Sky about snares and walked off.